everyone, we are back with The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, and we are still in Act 3, a couple pages into Act 3 actually, and it is about to get interesting, and I'm super duper excited. But first we gotta listen to Algernon and Cecily love on each other for a little bit longer, which is also good. It's not that it's bad or anything, but it's about to get really good. So let's just go ahead and start. Enter Merriman. The dog cart is waiting, sir. Algernon. Tell it to come round next week at the same hour. Merriman looks at Cecily, who makes no sign. Yes, sir. Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week at the same hour. Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care for anybody in the whole world but you. I love you. Cecily, you will marry me, won't you? You silly boy, of course. Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months. For the last 3 months? 3 months, all but a few days. Looks at diary, turns over the pages. Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday. I didn't know. Very few people nowadays ever realize the position in which they are placed. The age is, as Miss Prism often says, a thoughtless one. But how did we become engaged? Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you, of course, have formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism, and, of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him, after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest. OMG. Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled? On the 14th of February last, worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or another, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you one evening in the garden. The next day I bought this little ring in your name. You see, I always wear it, Ernest, and though it shows that you are sadly extravagant, still I have long ago forgiven you for that. Here in this drawer are all the little presents I have given you from time to time, neatly numbered and labeled. This is the pearl necklace you gave me on my birthday, and this is the box in which I keep all your letters. Opens box and produces letters tied up with a blue ribbon. My letters! But my own sweet Cecily, I have never written you any letters. You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember it only too well. I grew tired of asking the postman every morning if he had a London letter for me. My health began to give way under the strain and anxiety, so I wrote your letters for you, and had them posted to me in the village by my maid. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener. Oh, do let me read them, Cecily. Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelt that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little. But was our engagement ever broken off? Of course it was, on the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like, shows the diary. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming. But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? I had done nothing at all. Cecily, I am very much hurt indeed to hear you broke it off, particularly when the weather was so charming. Men seem to forget very easily. I should have thought you would have remembered the violent letter you wrote me because I danced with Lord Kelso at the ball. But I did take it all back, Cecily, didn't I? Of course you did. Otherwise I wouldn't have forgiven you or accepted this little gold bangle with the turquoise and diamond heart that you sent the next day. Shows the bangle. Did I give you this, Cecily? It's very pretty, isn't it? Yes, you have wonderfully good taste, Ernest. I have always said that of you. It's the excuse I've always given for your leading such a bad life. My own one. So we have been engaged for 3 months, Cecily? Yes, how time has flown, hasn't it? I don't think so. I have found the days very long and very dreary without you. You dear romantic boy, puts her fingers through his hair. I hope your hair curls naturally, does it? Yes, darling, with a little help from others. I am so glad. You'll never break off our engagement again, Cecily. I don't think I could break it off now that I have actually met you. Besides, of course, there is the question of your name. Yes, of course, nervously. You must not laugh at me, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest. Algernon rises, Cecily also. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest. Y'all! Algernon, but my dear child, do you mean to say you could not love me if I had some other name? But what name? Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance. But I don't like the name of Algernon. Well, my own dear, sweet, loving little darling, I really can't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not a bad name. In fact, it is rather an aristocratic name. Half of the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, moving to her, if my name was Algie, couldn't you love me? Cecily, rising, I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I fear I should not be able to give you my undivided attention. Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in the practice of all the rites and ceremonies of the church. Oh, yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows. I must see him at once on a most important christening. I mean, on most important business. Oh, I shan't be away for more than half an hour. Considering that we have been engaged since February the 14th and I have only met you today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes? I'll be back in no time. Kisses her and rushes out. What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary. Enter Merriman. Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states. Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library? Mr. Worthing went over in the direction of the rectory some time ago. Pray ask that lady to come in here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon, and you can bring tea. Yes, miss. Goes out. Miss Fairfax. I suppose one of the many good elderly women who are associated with Uncle Jack in some of his philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them. Enter Merriman, Miss Fairfax. Enter Gwendolyn and exit Merriman. And we are gonna stop there because it is about to get freaking good, y'all, and we gotta hold the suspense in because it's about to get good. Also, is it not freaking hilarious that both of the men are going to change their name? Like, that's what they're doing with the christening. They're going to change their name to Earnest because both of the women are like, no, I couldn't love you if your name wasn't Earnest. Is that not freaking hilarious? I'm so excited for the rest of this act because it is so freaking funny. Oh, I'm so excited. It's also a little bit like embarrassing and like kind of makes you shrivel up a little bit. So that's going to be really fun. I hope that you are all doing wonderful, and I guess stick around and wait for the next one. Thanks, y'all.